Hey everybody, Shabbat Shalom. I'll give you guys a moment and then we will go ahead and pray. All right, let's go ahead and bow our heads and pray. Yahuwah, thank you for gathering us once again. Thank you for allowing us to fellowship and learn with each other. We thank your Son, Yahushua HaMashiach. His sacrifice makes all these things possible. And blessed is he who gets to feel your immeasurable love, Yahuwah. We thank you and we praise you, Yahuwah, Most High. You are so glorious. And in Yahushua's name we pray. Amen. All right. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So this week we're going to be starting another series. I've been reading the book of Isaiah. I actually just finished the book of Isaiah last night and started reading Jeremiah. And this book contains some of the most crucial prophecies of the end times. And it has really made my spiritual eyes and ears open up very wide. And I just felt really compelled to speak on this book and what it says. And then as I was scrolling on one of my favorite YouTube channels called Parable of the Vineyard, I saw that the host, Adam, he has some messages that he has made about the book of Isaiah as well. And Brother Adam was spot on with all the same conclusions that I drew from this book. Almost the entire book of Isaiah is for the end times generation. There's some passages in there that don't apply. They're talking about, what was going on in the now, but most of this book is prophecy. And there's no denying that these prophecies, either once you start reading them, there's no denying that these prophecies are for the latter days. And Brother Adam, I just want to say that if you ever see this, you are so wonderful, dear brother. You have touched so many souls, my soul included in this, with your mission. Your spirit is truly such a light in this dark world. And I hope that you keep fighting the good fight, brother. I love you so much. And Yahuwah, please keep blessing this brother. So let's begin. So most of the book of Isaiah is prophetic, but you don't really start getting into the juicy stuff until about chapter 41, like Brother Adam states in his video as well. And because I liked it and I found really interesting the starting point that Brother Adam used, I'm going to use it too. So we're going to be going over Isaiah chapters 41 through 66, which is why I'm breaking it up into a series, because there is a lot of prophecy to cover here. So we got to do it chapter by chapter, line by line. So today we'll be doing chapters 41 and 42. And instead of starting on line 1, we're going to start with lines 8 through 11. And I found it really interesting that Brother Adam started here. And I feel like the Ruach Ho'qodesh led him to start here for a reason. To clear up this mass identity crisis that is still plaguing our communities. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same because this point is of such vital importance that it does need to be stressed as much as possible. So without further ado, let's go ahead and read Isaiah 41, line 8. It says, "But you, Yasharel, are my servant, Yaakov, which is Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend." So he says you, Yasharel, Israel, which is you. And that is what Yahweh named his covenant, his people. We are Israel. You are my servant. And then he says Jacob, whom I have chosen. Jacob is another name for Israel. The children of Jacob. It's the same thing. He says, you I have chosen. The seed of Abraham, my friend. To be part of Israel is to be the heir of Abraham. It is all the same thing. Let's take a look at something that Paul said on this matter. In Galatians chapter 3, lines 26 through 29. "For ye are all the children of Elohim, by faith in Mashiach Yahusha. For as many of you have been baptized into Mashiach, have put on Mashiach. There is neither Yahudi nor Yavani. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither bond nor free. There is neither male nor female. For ye are all one in Yahushua HaMashiach. And if you belong to Mashiach, then ye are Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. We are all the children of Yahuwah when we follow Yahushua HaMashiach. And in Messiah's kingdom, there is no Jew or Greek. And in most English Bibles, it says Gentile and not Greek. But the Gentiles, they were the other nations. And let's be clear, too, the word Gentile means out of covenant. The Greek word for Gentile is ethnos, which is Strong's Dictionary 1484, and it means a foreign race that is not of the tribe of Judah or Jacob, and it usually implies pagans. Where was I? And another word for Gentile is Strong's 1483, ethnikos, which is an adverb that is used to describe different nations, and it derives from Strong's 1482, ethnikos, which means different nations as well, and it can also mean heathen. So the Gentiles were the pagan nations that were not following Yahweh. Let's look at another reference that is found in Romans 11, lines 16 through 21. For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. And if some of the branches be broken off, and you, being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them, and with them partake of the root and the fatness of the olive tree, boast not against the branches. But if you boast, you bear not the root, but the root you. You will then say, but the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off, and you stand by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. For if Elohim spared not the natural branches, take heed, lest he also spare not you. This is a parable. We are the branches, guys. Remember, I am the vine, and ye are the branches. If Yahusha is the vine, or in this case, the root, then the root must be the word, the Torah, because he is the word. So, when we come into this truth, we shouldn't be boastful about it. And we're going to dive deeper into that a few lines down, but we shouldn't act better than anyone. Just because someone hasn't come into the truth yet and they're still stuck in religion or atheism or whatever, that does not make you better. You should not stick your nose up at these people. That is missing the point. Like the Pharisees, they completely missed the heart of the Torah, the heart of the message, which is to love Yahuwah with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. And the Torah is the instructions that show us how to do that. The natural branches, they were broken off because they stumbled. They lost sight of the word, of the heart of the message. So don't be high-minded, but fear Yahuwah. Because if he didn't spare the natural branches, he's not going to spare you either. So let's look at just one more reference found in Ephesians chapter 2, lines 11 through 13 and line 19. Wherefore remember that ye being in time past the other nations in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands, that at that time ye were without Mashiach, being aliens from the Devarim of Yasharel, and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope, and without Elohim in the world. But now in Mashiach Yahusha, ye who sometimes were far off, are made nigh by the blood of Mashiach. Now, therefore, ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the Kodashim, with the set apart, and of the household of Elohim. So here, Paul was saying, in times past, you were like the other nations, acting like the other nations do, and maybe you were worshiping their gods. Or worshiping our Elohim the way that other nations worship theirs, like most of religion does today. And at that time, they were without Messiah Yahusha. They were aliens from the Devarim of Yasharel. And that word, Devarim, it means word or order, the Torah. The Torah is the word. It is the order of things. It is our guidelines on what we should be doing and how we should be doing it. We were strangers from the covenant, but with the blood of Yahusha, it gives us the opportunity to be grafted back into this covenant, to be forgiven. And when we abide in Yahusha, we become the fellow citizens with the Kodashim, the set apart, and part of the household of Elohim. And one last thing before we move on. What does it mean to abide in Yahusha? Well, 1 John chapter 2 lines 3 through 4 tells us, and hereby we do know that we know him if we guard his commandments. He that says, I know him, and guards not his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. So you see that, right? He who says, I know him, and guards not the commandments is a liar, and the truth is not found in him. And those are not my words, so don't get mad at me. Those are Yahusha's words. And then I also want to say that the rise of Zionism and dispensationalism, which arose in the 1800s, those are two of the biggest catalysts that help spike this identity crisis that has been plaguing the faith for centuries now. And the Roman Catholic Church, of course, played a large hand in this as well. Both basically taught that if you're not born a native Jew, then none of this stuff applies to you. And I promise sometime soon, we're certainly going to dive into like how things got to where they are now as far as like religion and exposing all the paganism and all that stuff goes. We're going to get to that very soon. But I clearly just proved to you that using the word alone, that these things do apply to you. They do include you. And if you are including yourself into Yahweh's promise, then you are included into the commandments and ordinances as well. And we will see that the more we study Isaiah, the further we get into the chapters, we will see exactly what I just spoke about. We're not going to see it today, but a few chapters towards the end of Isaiah, we will see it. Okay, so you see how much time I just spent on one line, right? So like Adam says, this is why this has to be broken up into a series. The book of Isaiah and this prophecy is of such deep nature, and it deserves to be reviewed carefully and at a steady pace. This book is so important for the end times. All right, so let's look at Isaiah 41, lines 9 through 11. You, whom I have taken from the ends of the earth, and called you from the chief men thereof, and said unto you, You are my servant, I have chosen you, and not cast you away. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your Elohim. I will strengthen you. Yea, I will help you. Yea, I will uphold you with the right hand of my righteousness. Behold, all they that were incensed against you shall be ashamed and confounded. They shall be as nothing, and they that strive with you shall perish. So he says, you who I have taken from the ends of the earth. This is talking about us. This is the regathering of us from the four corners, and called you the chief men thereof. You are my servant, meaning we are the example. We are supposed to be setting the example for people to follow. And our example is Yahusha. He is what we are supposed to be mimicking. He has chosen us, and he will not cast us away. Don't be scared, because Yahweh will give you strength, and he will help us by sending his spirit, his comforter, to help us uphold the Torah. And the people who mock us, they will become as nothing, and they will perish. So now moving on, let's look at Isaiah 41, lines 12 through 14. You shall seek them, and shall not find them, even them that contend with you. They that war against you shall be as nothing, and as a thing of naught. For I, Yahuwah Elohika, will hold your right hand, saying unto you, Fear not, I will help you. Fear not, you worm of Yaakov, and ye men of Yasharel. I will help you, says Yahuwah, and your Redeemer, the Holy One of Yasharel. So we will seek them, and we will not find them. Those who make war with the Lamb, they will be as nothing, because Yahuwah is going to hold our hands, and he is going to give us the strength to overcome. And once again, our identity is confirmed. Fear not, you worm of Jacob, and ye men of Israel. That Hebrew word for worm used there is rima, which means in this context corruption, because the houses have become corrupt. They have fallen away from Yahweh in his ways. Give me just a moment. So knowing that now, let's go ahead and read this with the context that we just learned. So fear not, you corrupt of Jacob, and ye men of Yasharel. I will help you, says Yahweh, and your Redeemer, the Holy One of Yasharel. So fear not the corrupt of Jacob. He will help us, because like he said in line 9, he has chose us, and he will not cast us away. Even though we have forsaken him, he will not cast us away, because we have been chosen by him, and he loves us. But we also have to do the groundwork as well. We must repent and we must uphold his Torah, his statutes and his ordinances, and he will provide the rest. So now let's move on to Isaiah 41, 15 through 17. Behold, I will make you a new sharp threshing instrument having teeth. You shall thresh the mountains and beat them small, and shall make the hills as chaff. You shall fan them, and the wind shall cast them away, and the whirlwind shall scatter them. And you shall rejoice in Yahweh, and shall glory in the Holy One of Yasharel. When the poor and needy seek water, and there is none, and their tongue fails for thirst, I, Yahweh, will hear them. I, the Elohai of Yasharel, will not forsake them. Okay, now I want to take a moment and talk about lines 15 and line 16. Let's go ahead and read them again really quick. Behold, I will make you a new sharp threshing instrument having teeth. You shall thresh the mountains and beat them small, and shall make the hills as chaff. You shall fan them, and the wind shall carry them away, and the whirlwind shall scatter them. And you shall rejoice in Yahweh, and shall glory in the Holy One of Yasharel. So what is Yahweh talking about here? Is he talking about us going out and killing people in the end? Possibly. That's possible. You can pull some foreshadowing from the book of Joshua and all the conquests that he led with the Israelites after they came out of Egypt. Give me just a moment. Okay, sorry about that. I'm telling you guys, it's like my youngest one knows when I'm out here doing this, and she just refuses to take a nap on the days that I like to record. Anyways, so back to where we were. So yeah, you can pull some foreshadowing from the book of Joshua and all the conquests he led with the Israelites after they wandered in the wilderness for 40 years. They came into the promised land and they destroyed all the pagan nations, and they knocked down all their altars and broke all their graven images and all that good stuff. Yahweh told them to go in and to leave absolutely nothing. So possibly, yes, this could be talking about that. And if we are called to fight for Yahweh, we should be ready. We should be ready to do whatever he asks us to do. But I think something more is also being said here. I mean, I do believe that there will be a final battle in the end. Don't get me wrong. I believe that 100%. There will be a final physical battle in the end. But there's also a spiritual battle going on as well. And I think there's a dual meaning here, is what I'm getting at. So, let's go ahead and look at that. I want to point out some other places in Scripture where it talks about us threshing and beating the nations. So let's look at Micah 4:13. Arise and thresh, O daughter of Sion. Sion is another word for Zion, and Zion is another name for Israel. For I will make your horn iron, and I will make your hoofs brass, and you shall beat in pieces many people, and I will consecrate their gain unto Yahweh, and their substance unto the Adonai of the whole earth. And then let's also take a look at Jeremiah 51:19 through 23. The portion of Yaakov is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Yasharel is the rod of his inheritance. Yahweh Sevaoth is his name. You are my battle axe and weapons of war. For with you I will break into pieces the nations, and with you I will destroy the kingdoms. And with you will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with you I will break in pieces the chariot and his rider. With you also will I break in pieces man and woman, and with you will I break in pieces old and young, and with you will I break in pieces the young man and the maid. I will also break in pieces with you the shepherd and his flock, and with you will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen, and with you will I break in pieces the captains and rulers. The first line says this portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things. The former of all things are the ways Yahweh set out for us, the ways that have been since the beginning, and more importantly, the ways most of the world has been deceived into not doing. And Yasharel is the rod of his inheritance. Yasharel is the covenant, the everlasting covenant, and all the promises that come with it, which is inheriting New Jerusalem. Yahuwah Sevaoth is his name. Yahuwah of hosts. His name is important. We are his battle axes and his weapons of war, and we will break down all these things for him. But are we going to break them down literally or figuratively? I want to say both. But I want to call you to remember that the word is a sword, okay? Let's take a look at Micah 5, lines 8 through 9. And the remnant of Yaakov shall be among the other nations, in the midst of many people, as a lion among the beasts of the forest, as a young lion among the flocks of sheep, who, if he go through, both treads down and tears in pieces, and none can deliver. Your hand shall be lifted upon your adversaries, and your enemies shall be cut off. We have to dwell among the other nations, among the non-believers, but we will be as lions among the sheep. We will be strong, and none will take us down anymore. I also want to look at 1 Thessalonians 5, 2 through 3. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of Yahuwah so comes as a thief in the night. For when they shall see peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Sudden destruction comes upon them, like a woman travailing with child. And this isn't the first time we see this reference either. The events leading up to Yahusha's return are often referred to as birthing pains. And we're going to cover a few more things and a few more passages, and then we're going to get back to Isaiah. Now I want to read from Joel. Joel chapter 2, lines 1 through 11. Blow ye the shofar in Sion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble. For the day of Yahuwah comes, for it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and strong. There has never been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. A fire devours before them, and behind them a flame burns. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots, on tops of mountains shall they leap. Like the noise of a flame of a fire that devours the stubble. As a strong people set in battle array. Before their face the people shall be much pained. All the faces shall gather blackness. All the faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. And they shall march every one on his ways. And they shall not break their ranks, neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk every one in his path, and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. They shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the wall. They shall climb upon the houses. They shall enter at the windows like a thief. The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. And Yahuwah shall utter his voice before his army, where his camp is very great, where he is strong that executes his word. For the day of Yahuwah is great and very terrible, and who can abide it? So it says, blow the shofar, Sion. This is a battle cry. This is a horn of war. And I believe that this is speaking of the 144,000, which we will talk more about a little bit. No, we're not really going to get to it much in this series, but we are going to get to the 144,000 soon. I think after we do this series, we're going to talk about the 144,000, and then we're going to get into the book of Enoch. But there has never been a people as strong as this people before, and never will there be again. And they will march on everyone, meaning the nations. They will march on all the nations. And the last half of this passage literally parallels Revelation 6, lines 12 through 17. Listen to this. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and where was I? And the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell onto the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs, when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heavens departed as a scroll when it is rolled out together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every freeman hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb, for the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? And then I want to show you really quick, before we move on back onto Isaiah, this is from Jude, chapter 14, or I lied. This is from Jude, lines 14 and 15. And Enoch, also the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, Behold, Yahuwah comes with 10,000s of his Kodeshim to execute judgment upon us all, to convince all that are wicked among them of all their wicked deeds which they have wickedly committed, and of all their hard speeches which the wicked sinners have spoken against him. The book of Jude is just one of a few that quote the book of Enoch verbatim. Look at this. In the Sefer, it's Enoch 2:1. Behold, he comes with 10,000s of his Kodeshim to execute judgment upon them and destroy the wicked and reprove all the carnal for everything which the sinful and wicked have done and committed against him. This is verbatim what the book of Jude says. In other versions of Enoch, this can be found in Enoch 1:8 or 1:9, but in the Sefer, it is found in Enoch 2:1. Enoch was the first book of prophecy. It contains all the prophecies of the latter days, and this book was in your Protestant canon Bibles until the mid-1800s. Yahusha taught from the book of Enoch. Jude quotes Enoch. The book of Timothy quotes Enoch. Peter quotes Enoch. And this is just what I can think of off the top of my head. There is more. Enoch is quoted a lot, and at some point in between this series, we're definitely going to do a message on the 144,000, and then we're going to dive into Enoch. So let's go ahead and get back to Isaiah. Isaiah 41, lines 17 through 20. When the poor and needy seek water, and there is none, and their tongue fails for thirst, I, Yahuwah, will hear them. I, the Elohai of Yasharel, will not forsake them. I will open rivers in high places and fountains in the midst of the valleys. I will make the wilderness a pool of water, and dry land springs of water. I will plant in the wilderness the cedar, and the shittah tree, and the myrtle, and the oil tree. I will set in the desert the fir tree, and the pine, and the box tree together, that they may see and know and consider and understand together that the hand of Yahuwah has done this, and the Holy One of Yasharel has created it. This is the second Exodus event. Yahuwah will bring us through the wilderness, just as our Hebrew forefathers went. He will refine us once more on our journey back to him. And he says he will make the desert bloom. He will provide us water to sustain us on our journey, and we shall know by the hand of Yahuwah we were delivered to safety. And where else does it say this? Let's look at Ezekiel 20, lines 33 through 38. As I live, says Adonai Yahuwah, surely with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out, I will rule over you. I will bring you out from the people, and I will gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered, with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm and with fury poured out. I will bring you out of the wilderness of the people, and there I will plead with you face to face, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness in the land of Mitzrayim. So will I plead with you, says Adonai Yahuwah, and I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant, and I will purge you, and I'll purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Yasharel, and ye shall know that I am Yahuwah. It's going to be exactly like what our forefathers underwent. Yahuwah will bring us out into the wilderness to test us, just like the Hebrews were tested. And most of the Hebrews we saw did not pass the test, and they did not get into the promised land. They complained to Moses the whole time. Did you bring us out here to die? You should have left us in Mitzrayim. Surely you brought us out here to die. We're tired of eating bread. Can you tell Yahuwah to make it rain meat? We're going to die of thirst. I mean, literally all they did was complain to Moses, and they gossiped about Moses, and they conspired against Moses. They didn't trust Yahuwah, and they lacked faith for him to provide a way for them. They were lukewarm, which is why it was so easy for them to go astray while Moses was up on Mount Sinai, the golden calf incident. This is why they ended up wandering in the wilderness for 40 years, because those people weren't allowed into the promised land. Yahweh waited until they all died off before they could enter the promised land. Only 2 of the adults from the golden calf incident were allowed into the promised land. The others, they all died out in the wilderness, and the children as well. The children were allowed in because Yahweh doesn't punish sons for the crimes of the fathers in this sense. He does punish with generational curses, however, and we're going to see the same thing happen again. Give me just a minute. I got to wipe my face. It is so hot. I'm dying out here. We're getting close, though. We're almost done. Now let's go ahead and finish Isaiah 41 and see if we can make it through 42 as well. So Isaiah 41, 21 through 24. Produce your cause, says Yahweh. Bring forth your strong reasons, says the King of Yaakov. Let them bring forth and show us what shall happen. Let them show the former things, what they be, that we may consider them, and know the latter end of them, and declare us things for to come. Show the things that are to come hereafter, that we may know that ye are Elohim, with a lowercase e, lowercase Elohim. Yea, do good or do evil, that we may be dismayed, and behold it together. Behold, ye are of nothing, and your work of naught. An abomination is he that chooses you. Here, Yahweh is saying to go forth and produce our cause, to strengthen our message and tell them what is coming. And then he also says, this part is to the unbelievers. He says to let them tell us what's going to happen. Let them tell their false prophecies. Let them declare that they have knowledge of the former things, but we're going to know them by their fruits. They like to think that they are God, and God with a lowercase g. And we behold their works, and we see the fruits that they produce, which I can assure you are not of righteousness. They are nothing, and their works are nothing. And he that chooses them is an abomination, and he that chooses them is Satan. There's only 2 sides here, whether you believe it or not. You're either on Yahweh's side or you're on Satan's side. There is no in between. Yahweh hates that. That is called being lukewarm. Now let's get into the last few lines of Isaiah 41. Isaiah 41, 25 through 29. I have raised up one from the north, and he shall come, and from the rising of the sun shall he call upon my name, and he shall come upon princes as upon mortar, as the potter treads clay, who has declared from the beginning that we may know, and before time that we may say he is righteous. Yea, there is none that shows. Yea, there is none that declares. Yea, there is none that hears your words. The first shall say to Sion, Behold, behold them, and I will give to Jerusalem one that brings good news. For I beheld there was no man, even among them, and there was no counselor, that when I asked of them could answer a word. Behold, they are all vanity, their works are nothing, and their molten images are wind and confusion. This here is prophesying of Yahusha. Here is the one from the north. He is the one from the north. Yahusha, he is the one from the north, the descendant of David, who was the king of the north. And I also believe the north has a lot of reference to the Garden of Eden. I think the true original kingdom of the north was the Garden of Eden. And who was the one to bring good news? Yahusha was. Yahweh says they are all vanity, and their works are nothing, and they that possess idols which are wind and confusion. Their works are in vain, which make them nothing. Their works are not Yahweh's works. We don't do Yahweh's works so we can say that we're better than people or say, look what I've done. No, that is not how it works, which is basically what the Pharisees were doing. Excuse me. We don't need the holier-than-thou complexes. We do Yahweh's works because we love him and we adore him and we want to please him. And then he sends his spirit upon us to help us do those things. These people had idolic images and they bowed down to them and they prayed to these images, which Yahweh specifically commands us not to do. The second commandment, make no graven images. And we can still see this being done today. Look at the Catholic Church. The Vatican is covered in idols. They pray to angels, they pray to dead saints, they pray to Mary, all of which is a direct transgression of the second commandment. What did Yahusha say? In John 14:6, Yahusha said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes unto the Father but by me. By Yahusha, nobody else. Not Mary, not Saint Christopher, not anybody else, not through the Archangel Michael, not through your pastor, your father, whatever. Yahusha and Yahusha alone. Yahusha is our only mediator. All right, let's see if we can get through chapter 42. Isaiah 42, 1-5. Behold, my servant, whom I uphold, my elect one, in whom my soul delights. I have put my Ruach upon him. He shall bring forth judgment to the other nations. He shall not cry, nor lift up, nor cause his voice to be heard in the street. A bruised reed shall he not break, and the smoking flax shall he not quench. He shall bring forth judgment unto the truth. He shall not fail, nor be discouraged, till he have set judgment in the earth. Where'd I go? And the isles shall wait for his Torah. Thus says El Yahweh, he that created the heavens and stretched them out, he that spread forth the earth and the people that come out of it, he that gives breath unto the people upon it, and the Ruach to them that walk therein. Hold on. He says, behold, my servant whom I uphold, my elect one, in whom my soul delights. What did Yahuwah say? Who did Yahuwah say his servant was? His holy elect. We learn back in Isaiah 41, 8-9, but you, Yasharel, are my servant, Yaakov, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend. You, who I have taken from the ends of the earth, and called you from the chief men thereof, and said unto you, you are my servant, I have chosen you, and not cast you away. We are his servants. We are his chosen elect. He has called us from the four corners of the earth, and he will not cast us away. He will uphold us. We will bring forth judgment to the other nations by declaring the truth, the word. And the word is what judges them. It is the judge of if they are righteous or unrighteous. We will bring judgment unto the truth. We shall not fail nor be discouraged until the truth has been declared throughout the earth. And we see this happening literally right now. Every day, more and more people are waking up to the truth. And in this day and time we live in, it has never been easier to reach people all over the world. The blog I created with my Bible studies on it shows me all the countries of where people are viewing my content. I've had people from Norway, Sweden, Canada, China, all different parts of Africa read my content. In the age of technology we live in, reaching people is so easy. And the gospel must be declared throughout the world before the end can come. Really quick, I'd like to make a comparison here on line 1. Behold, my servant whom I uphold, my elect one in whom my soul delights. I have put my Ruach upon him. He shall bring forth judgment to the other nations. He shall uphold us. And he delights in us because we uphold his Torah. Only those who abide in the Father Yahuwah get access to his Spirit. Let's look at 1 John 3, 6-7. Whosoever abides in him sins not. Whosoever sins has not seen him, neither known him. Little children, let no man deceive you. He that does righteousness is righteous, even as he is righteous. So do keep that in mind. If you walk out Yahweh's Torah in gentleness and in love, then you are righteous, just as he, Yahusha, is righteous, my dear brothers and sisters. Now let's look at Isaiah 41, 6-9. We're getting close, you guys. We're getting close. Back to where I was. Time is not on my side again. All right, 6-9. I, Yahuwah, have called you in righteousness, and will hold your hand, and will keep you, and give you for a covenant to the people, for a light of the other nations, to open blind eyes, and to bring out the prisoners from prison, and them that sit in darkness out of the prison house. I am Yahuwah, that is my name, and my glory I will not give to another, neither my praise to graven images. Behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. Again, Yahuwah tells us that he has called us in righteousness, and he will hold our hand, and he will sustain us. And again, this is speaking about Yahusha. He was the covenant, the word manifested into the flesh. He was the covenant of the people and the light of the nations. But there is dual meaning here, so let's look at that. Matthew 5:14 through 16. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is... I'm sweating so bad, you guys. It's not even funny. It's so hot out here. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a menorah, and give light unto all that are in the house. Let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. This is Yahusha speaking here. He says, you are the light of the world. Us, we are the light of the world now, and it is our job to spread the truth and the testimony of Yahusha that he came here. Alright, sorry guys, like I said, I'm telling you, my little one, she knows when I'm recording and she just doesn't take a nap, and my older one thinks he has to repeat himself a million times before I can hear him. If you're a parent, you know what I mean. Alright. Anyways, so where was I? Okay, yeah, because it's our job. Oh, excuse me, I cannot talk today. It's our job to spread the truth and the testimony that Yahusha came here to testify, which is teaching the ways of Yahuwah and his Torah correctly. And what is the light again? Proverbs 6:23, for the commandment is a lamp and the Torah is a light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. And John 8:12, then spoke Yahusha again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that follows me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. When you follow Yahusha, which is following the ways of Yahuwah, as we saw from the previous passage, it's how we glorify the Father in heaven. When we do these things, the light comes within us. The Word is the light, and remember, Yahusha is the Word. He is the Word made flesh. The truth is the light. We are to open the blind eyes and the deaf ears. And let this be known that this is a metaphor. These people aren't physically blind or deaf. They are spiritually blind and deaf. They don't see the truth, and their ears don't perceive the truth. They can't grasp it. Kind of like how the Pharisees and most of the tribe of Judah didn't believe Yahusha was the one who was prophesied about. He spoke very plainly to them, and they still didn't get it. He even says that to them. Like, he was baffled as to why they were so baffled. We are to lead those living in sin and transgression out of their prison, their bondage to their sin, by giving them the truth. He says, I am Yahuwah, that is my name, and glory will not be given to another. So tell me again how the name doesn't matter. I personally believe the name matters very much to me, and I will be saying Yahuwah in my house, because his glory will not be given to some other god. So basically, this passage is speaking about us going out and spreading the gospel, teaching the truth and teaching it correctly. But if you're going to be a teacher in these days, I must show you this. Let's take a look at 2 Timothy 2:24 through 26. And the servant of Yahuwah must not strive, which means don't boast, but be gentle unto all men, apt to teach, patient, in meekness, instructing those that oppose themselves, if Elohim perchance will give them repentance to the acknowledging of the truth, and that they may recover themselves out of the snare of the devil, who are taken captive by him at his will. The servant of Yahuwah must not strive, which I just said means not to boast, but be gentle to all men, like Yahusha was, apt to teach and patient. Teaching like Yahusha taught. He was gentle and he was patient, and he was firm when he needed to be, but he was never aggressive or boastful. And we see that now, even within the Torah community. We see these Torah terrorists who condemn you and judge you and get angry at you for not following the Torah or not understanding the word correctly. And likewise, we see this amongst the Christian community as well. My brothers and sisters, we will never be able to bully anyone into the truth. That doesn't cause people to change their hearts. It causes them to harden them. All we can do is plant the necessary seeds and pray that Yahuwah will water them. But we must do so in gentleness and kindness, coming from a place of love for our fellow brothers and sisters out here who have been denied the truth. Now let's look at Isaiah 42:10 through 13. Sing unto Yahuwah a new song, and his praise from the end of the earth. Ye that go down to the sea, and all that is therein. The isles and the inhabitants thereof, let the wilderness and the cities thereof lift their voice. The villages of Kedar, that Kedar inhabits, let the inhabitants of the rock sing. Let them shout from the top of the mountains. Let them give glory unto Yahweh and declare his praise in the islands. Yahweh shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. He shall cry, yea, roar. He shall prevail against his enemies. Now let's take a closer look at line 10. Sing unto Yahweh a new song, and his praise from the end of the earth, ye that go down to the sea, and all that is therein, the isles and the inhabitants thereof. We can compare this to Revelation 14:3. And they sung as it were a new song before the throne, and before the 4 living creatures and the elders, and no man can learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. Again, we're going to get into this 144,000 one day very soon, I promise. I very much believe that this is Yahweh's army and men numbered for war. And when the final war comes, brothers and sisters, we should be ready. We should be ready to do whatever it is that Yahweh calls us to do in those times. Now let's look at line 12. Let them give glory unto Yahweh and declare his praise in the islands. So we're going to compare this to 2nd Esdras, which is the 4th book of Ezra. It was in some English Bibles, and it can be found in the Septuagint, the Pentateuch, and the Dead Sea Scrolls, and the Aramaic Targums, which are some of the oldest ancient scriptures we have to date. This book is very prophetic, and it speaks a great deal about the end times. So let's look at it. 2nd Esdras, chapter 2, lines 42 through 47. I, Ezra, saw upon Mount Sion a great people, whom I could not number, and they all praised Yahweh with songs. And in the midst of them there was a young man of high stature, taller than all the rest, and upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? He answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing, and have put on the immortal, and have confessed the name of Elohim. Now they are crowned and receive palms in their hands. So he answered and said unto me, Is it the son of Elohim whom they have confessed in the world? It is the son of Elohim whom they have confessed in the world. Then I began to greatly commend them that stood stiffly for the name of Yahweh. And we will also see this later too in Isaiah chapter 62. I want to show you this really quick. In Isaiah chapter 62, line 3, You shall also be a crown of glory in the hand of Yahweh, and a royal diadem in the hand of your Elohim. This is Yahusha giving the holy elect who made it through the great tribulation and the second Exodus their crowns on their heads and their palms in their hands. These are the people who stood up for the word of Yahweh, who professed his name throughout the earth, and some of these people will even die for his name. All right, so back to Isaiah. Give me a minute. Isaiah 42, 14 through 17. I have long time held my peace. I have been still and refrained myself. Now I will cry like a travailing woman. I will destroy and devour at once. I will make waste mountains and hills, and dry up all their herbs. And I will make the rivers islands, and I will dry up the pools. And I will bring the blind by a way that they knew not, and I will lead them in paths that they have not known. I will make darkness light before them, and crooked things straight. These things will I do unto them, and not forsake them. They shall be turned back. They shall be greatly ashamed that trust in graven images, that say to the molten images, Ye are our Elohim. Yahweh is patient and long-suffering. For a very long time he has refrained himself. And here again, we see the reference to the birthing pains. He says that he will bring the blind by a way that they never knew and lead them down paths that they didn't know. This is Yahweh opening the eyes of the blind to the truth, which is happening now. People are coming into the truth, and they are seeking the scriptures in a way, and they are seeing the scriptures in a way that they never saw them before. And I can personally attest to this. Those who turn their ways, they will not be forsaken. He will keep you. And once you come into the truth, most people are ashamed of the life that they led before. I can say that I was worshiping graven images, and I was praying to false gods and false goddesses. I was habitually using black magic and divination. I was observing pagan holidays. I was pretty bad. I was really bad. And interestingly enough, the more I got into it, more bad things started happening to me. But that's another story for another day. Back to Isaiah. Isaiah 42:18-21. Hear ye deaf, and look ye blind, that ye may see. Who is blind but my servant, or deaf as my messenger that I send? Who is blind as he that is perfect, and blind as Yahweh's servant, seeing many things, but you observe not, opening the ears, but he hears not. Yahweh is well pleased for his righteous sake. He will magnify the Torah and make it honorable. He says, seeing many things, but you observe not, opening the ears, but he hears not. Meaning, we have the Torah, we have the prophets, they told us what to do. But Yahweh says that Yasharel is a stiff-necked people, meaning hard-headed, rebellious. Look at the Pharisees, look at Christianity and Judaism. They all hold their man-made traditions over Yahweh's traditions. You know what days he wants you to observe because he tells you in his word, yet you observe your own man-made holiday of pagan origins instead. Yahweh hates that. And those are not my words. Those are his words. He says worshiping him the way other nations worship their gods is an abomination to the Most High Yahweh. And line 24 says, Yahweh is well pleased for his righteousness' sake. He will magnify the Torah and make it honorable. What did Yahusha come and do? He came and taught the Torah. He taught it correctly, and he magnified it. And let me show you what I mean by that. Let's look at Matthew 5:21-22. Yahusha says, Ye have heard that it was said by them of the old time, You shall not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. But I say unto you, that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of judgment. And who shall ever say to his brother, Rakah, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, You fool, shall be in the danger of the fire of Jehannam. So, even to think evil or not nice thoughts about somebody, it makes you a murderer in your heart. Because we can either speak love or we can speak hate. And what we speak derives from what we think. If we think hateful thoughts, then we are going to speak hateful things. And if we think thoughts of love and compassion and kindness, we will speak those things too. That word, rakah, it means to call someone worthless or to call someone a fool. It puts you in danger of the fire of Jehannam, which is one of the valleys of everlasting torment that we talked about, that fallen watchers get put into. We talked about that last week. There was a valley. And Hinnom is also a valley in Jerusalem where the pagans used to sacrifice their children, along with another valley called Tophet. Now let's look at Matthew 5:28-30. It says, But I say unto you, that whosoever looks on a woman to lust after her has broken wedlock with her already in his heart. And if your right eye offend you, pluck it out and cast it from you. For it is profitable for you that one of your members should perish, and not that your whole body should be cast into Jehannam. And if your right hand offend you, cut it off and cast it from you. For it is profitable for you that one of your members should perish, and not that your whole body should be cast into Jehannam. Again, Yahusha said, you don't have to go sleep with or entertain another woman or man to commit adultery. But even looking upon another woman with lust makes you an adulterer in your heart. And doing these things puts you in danger of everlasting torment. When Yahusha said, pluck out your eye or cut off your hand, he wasn't really saying to do these things. He's saying that it is better for you to pluck out your eye than it is to transgress the commandments. And it is better for you to cut your hand off than to let it cause you to sin. That's what he's saying. It is safer for you to cut off your hand than it is to go out and sin. It is safer for you to pluck out your eye than it is to look upon a woman with lust. All right, last portion of chapter 42. Isaiah 42, lines 22-25. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. They are for prey, and none delivers, for a spoil, and none says restore. Who among you will give ear to this? Who will hearken where'd I go? Who will hearken and hear for the time to come? Who will give Yaakov for a spoil, and Yasharel to the robbers? Did not Yahuwah, he against whom we have sinned? For they would not walk in his ways, neither were they obedient unto his Torah. Therefore he has poured upon him the fury of his anger and the strength of battle, and it has set him on fire round about. Yet he knew not, and it burned him. Yet he laid it not to heart. The tribes were scattered every time they transgressed Yahweh, delivered into the hands of their enemies, delivered into war, delivered into slavery on multiple occasions, because they wouldn't walk in his Torah and they wouldn't be obedient. So who now is going to hearken and hear for the time to come? All these things happened to them and they still didn't turn their ways. They just kept getting worse. Yet Yahweh didn't take it to heart, because you can still repent and be forgiven. Well, they can, those who are already dead. But us here who are still alive, we can repent and we can turn our ways. Yahweh sent prophet after prophet to Israel, and they wouldn't listen to them. And it's why they denied our Messiah, Yahusha. It's why they deny the prophecies now, because they wouldn't listen. So real quick, before we end, let's look at Matthew 23:13. But woe unto you, scribes and parashim, hypocrites! For ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. For ye neither go in yourselves, neither suffer ye that are entering to go in. The parashim, they are the Pharisees. And the Pharisees, they were blocking people from the heart of the Torah with their man-made traditions. They exalted their traditions over Yahweh's traditions, and they spiritually blocked people from being able to access Yahweh. Like how religious leaders today do this to people, because they teach half-truths. People are spiritually starving because their spirit isn't receiving the truth. Once you actually receive the truth, firstly, your spirit knows that it's the truth, and second, you begin to feel full. Your spirit feels fed. And not only that, you hunger and you thirst for more truth. Every truth you come across, your spirit feels more and more full, because that's what Yahweh does. Being connected spiritually to our Creator, Yahweh literally sustains us. He sustains everything, all life. All right, guys, so that brings us to a close for today. Let's go ahead and close up with a prayer, you guys. Let's bow our heads. Yahweh, thank you for allowing us to do this study today, to be able to truly study your word and what is being said. We thank you for the knowledge you have given us, and we thank your son, Yahusha, for giving us the opportunity to come before you and to humbly seek you in your truth with all our hearts. Yahweh, bless my viewers and give them understanding. In Yahusha's name we pray. Amen. All right, guys, stay tuned for the Torah portion, and I will see you again next week. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Shabbat and Shalom.